I asked GPT-4o to generate tests for computer science on Bachelor level. I tuned it a little bit, and I think it might be a good idea to talk about it. It might happen that you need some help with exam preparations, and I think this is a great way. So let's go through the questions and answers, and I will explain to you what answer is right and why. You should try to answer yourself before you hear my response. Question 1. Which of the following is not a primitive data type in most programming languages? So what is a primitive data type? Well, these are data types provided by programming language, giving you the basic building blocks. They are usually associated with the most common lengths or the sizes, the number of bytes what we need. We have int, which is abbreviation for integer. Integer is usually 4 bytes long, and it definitely is a primitive data type. Next we have float. Floating point is a real number. It's a number with a floating decimal point. It just represents numbers with fractions. Usually it's 4 bytes long, and it is basic data type. Now we have char, which means character, and that's 1 byte long. It's not necessarily represents character only. This is just how we code it. So we have 1 byte for char, we have 4 bytes for float and int. It depends if your number should have some fraction part or not. And the last thing, string, that's definitely not a primitive data type. If you wonder why, string is nothing more than just a bunch of chars next to each other. Number 2, which of the following sorting algorithms has the best average cost time complexity? This might be a little bit tricky. There are algorithms which are faster and algorithms which are slower, but the devil hidden in here is in the words average case. Be very careful about those. What they do, you have an array, you have a bunch of numbers or any ordinary values really, you would like to order them somehow. With numbers, what you want to do usually is to order them from the lowest to the highest. So first algorithm there, bubble sort. Let me just describe briefly how this algorithm works. We can make dedicated video just about it. Bubble sort is a very simple algorithm. You're just taking 2 values which are next to each other, and you are checking if the lower one is on the left. If not, you're gonna flip them. And this is it. This is called bubble sort because if you imagine some value coming from the end to the front, it really looks like bubbles slowly going to the top. This algorithm is easy to implement, very intuitive, easy to understand, but it's definitely not the fastest one. It has quadratic average time complexity. The second one, quicksort. Quicksort is divide and conquer type of algorithm. You choose a pivot, and the pivot divide your array to the 2 parts. So it partitions the array into 2 sub-arrays, according to whatever elements are less or greater than the pivot, and then recursively sorts the sub-arrays. Now we have merge sort. It's quite similar, also divide and conquer. We divide the array to the 2 parts and recursively sort each of them independently. And in the end, we match them together. Insertion sort is the last one. It's a simple algorithm, and it builds the final array one at a time. It just takes element by element and put each of them in the correct place. Is it lower? Put it into left. Is it higher? Put it on the right. And now when it comes to complexities, we are going to talk a little bit closer what time complexity is later in this video, but simply imagine a function, imagine a graph, where on x-axis you have the number of elements, and on the y-axis you have a number of operations. In this case, in case of the sorting algorithms, it means what is actually a relationship between number of input data and the number of operations we should do to sort them. So when it comes to bubble sort, the best case time complexity is actually ON. It's linear when the input is already sorted. So when it is already sorted and you are going to apply bubble sort, you still need to check every single element if it's on a good position or not. So linear. And the worst case is quadratic. So average is quadratic, and that's not good. When we have quicksort, the best case time complexity for quicksort is n log n. And this is when the partitions are balanced. The worst case is again quadratic, and this happens when the partitions are highly unbalanced. Average in a real life scenario, in a normal use case, is n log n, because really the worst case, it doesn't happen that often. Merge sort is our star and the correct answer. The best case for merge sort is n log n. The worst case, surprisingly enough, is n log n. So average as well. And that's quite interesting. It's very similar to quicksort. The quicksort might be even faster in some instances. But if you are talking average, if you are talking about normal data, many use cases, just you don't even want to think about it. The merge sort will probably work the best because the n log n is guaranteed. An insertion sort, best case is on when the array is already sorted, so you touch every element just once, and the worst case is again quadratic, which makes it also average, because this best case, it really doesn't happen that much in real life. In the binary search tree, what is the time complexity for searching an element in the average case? It's a similar situation as before. The word average is the thing what you should focus on. So what is binary search tree, in case you don't know? Binary search tree is a data structure where every element has up to 2. We always structure it in the way, let's say for numbers, that the lower one is on the left, whereas the higher one is on the right. So it looks somehow like that. And now the question is how long it takes to find some specific value. You know, we have two options. The tree might be balanced, which is this. It means that you have like these two, maybe not always, but here or there, and there is highly unbalanced, where there is one all the time. And as you can see, if we are searching for some value in unbalanced tree, we really must touch every single element. It means on. Whereas if there is something on the way, for instance, if we are searching for 7, I have the first 8. So is 7 lower than 8? Yes. So go to the left. The correct answer is C. It's logarithmic. It's derived from the depth of the tree and the fact that each element can have maximum 2 children. Number 4. What is the primary function of an operating system? Operating system has plenty of functions, definitely, but from these answers here, or from the options, the A is the correct one, to provide a platform for software to run on. The option B, to compile code into machine language. This is not what we use operating system for, this is what we use compiler for, a very specific program. To connect to the internet. Connecting to the internet is some function what operating system gives you to create graphics and animations. Graphics and animations are typically the role of graphics software, such as game or Pay.net. Operating system will give you the environment for these applications to run, the same as for your application, but it's not its purpose. From the options here, the primary functions of an operating system is to provide a platform for software to run on. Which of the following is not a characteristic of object-oriented programming? Well, this is a very common question. Encapsulation means that the data are hidden in front of programmer. Everything is sort of locked up, and if you want to change anything, if you want to alter things, you need specific methods for that. We can use C++ as a great example of these. C++ keywords private and public tells you what is the access to those specific elements. So if the speed is private, I cannot access the speed from the outside as a developer. But what I can do, if I need to set the speed, I shall use the method setSpeed. This is public, callable, and that's about it. The reason for that is that I really need my speed very close to the chest. I don't want developer to have a chance to write something like -5 there, because it wouldn't make a sense. If I have this setSpeed method, what I can do is to check what the developer wants to do. So if s will be less than 0, I can do something. I can print something on the screen. I can have some assertion that, sorry, this is not allowed, and simply don't do it. If it will be higher than 0 or 0, well, yes, speed is equal to s. The second is inheritance. Inheritance means that I can create new classes based on some another classes. Class is sort of blueprint of doing things. So here I have example. I have class vehicle, which is some absolutely generic vehicle with some things which is common for all vehicles I need. And I can make something more specific, car. So the vehicle can have things and the car can have more things on top of that. A common example might be that I have person, and the person can be adult or kid. They have some common things, obviously, but the adult is a more specific version of a person, the same for child. They are different. For instance, for a child, I can be interested in what elementary school is the child attending. It's not valid for adult. Polymorphism. Again, let's use C++ for that. It allows you to have object of different class be treated as an object of some common superclass. You have a thing, you have a method which has a certain name, certain parameters, and it does something. And the same thing might have different meaning in different blueprints. I have sound. If we talk about animals, right, the animal have some sound. But if I talk in very generic way, animal itself really doesn't have any specific sound. If I want to have specific sound, I should be more concrete. As a dog, definitely dog, woof. I can have cat, I can have bird. So the sound is the same. It's the same method doing the slightly different thing based on which animal I'm interested in. And that's polymorphism. All of these are part of object-oriented programming, which leaves us with the last thing, recursion. And that's the correct answer for this question. Recursion is something which has nothing to do with object-oriented programming. It means that the function, what you write, calls itself. A common example is computation of factorial. Number 6, what does SQL stand for? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It's used in a database world when you need to process and go through huge amount of data in some organized way. It's a standardized language used for managing and manipulating relation databases. In big O notation, what does O and square represents? Well, quadratic time complexity. Big O, as mentioned before, imagine 2 axes, 1 axis, number of elements, second axis, number of operations, and here you can see some examples how they look graphically. If you write an algorithm, the big O is a thing which is very important to you. There are fields in computer science or in programming where it's more important and where it's less important. For instance, where I'm coming from, the 3D graphics development, it's very important, and you are really fishing for every millisecond of a performance. If you have 2 algorithms where one of them behaves in log n, and this means logarithmic, and the second one which behaves in quadratic fashion, you should definitely go for the one with logarithmic fashion. Number 8. What's the main purpose of a firewall in a network security? Oh, well, yeah. To accelerate network speed. The firewalls are not designed to accelerate network speed. In fact, they might slow things down because they are already checking everything what is happening on the line. To manage network traffic, well, the firewall does control the network traffic to some extent, but its primary role is to enforce security policies and to prevent unauthorized access, which gives the correct answer. The firewall is a network security device. It can be software, it can be hardware, and it controls incoming and outgoing network traffic. The option D to encrypt data. Firewalls do not encrypt data. Encryption is typically handled by some other tools and protocols such as VPN. Which brings me to sponsor of this episode. I'm just joking. Number 9. Which of the following is NoSQL database? NoSQL database are designed to handle a wide variety of data models, including key value, documents. One of them, the Mongo, is exactly that. It works with the files which can be specified in various ways, with the JSONs what you can configure as you need. Others have SQL in their name. They are relational databases. Correct answer for this, NoSQL database, is definitely Mongo. And finally, number 10, what is the output of the following Python code? If you are facing these type of questions, what you can do, what's usually good to do, is to go from the end to the beginning. So print the result. So we're just gonna print some result, and what the result is, we have some function add with 2 arguments. So I'm checking what the functions does. It just sum them together. So the result will be 2 plus 3, which is 5, times 2, which is 10. Answer B. Okay, that was not bad. Obviously, what is a bachelor level differs dramatically. It can be year by year and obviously country by country. But I think this is very nice if you are preparing yourself for any type of exam on the bachelor level, maybe even a little bit sooner. We will do more videos like that because they are very useful, I believe. Well, good luck with your exams. I hope you learned something today. See you next time, and thanks for watching.